Okay. Good afternoon, Wood. How you doing, pal? All the best, lads. Hope you have a winning week. You too, mate. You too. It was okay last week. Didn't do too bad at all last week. Managed to get a couple of payments from a couple of my accounts, so all good. So at least I'm starting to earn something. So far so good. Okay, Monday's come around again. Wow, the weeks are going so quick, aren't they? So, right, who else we got in? So, we know you're here. What's David? How are you? Brick, how are you? Indy, good morning. I notice your code is not working for me. Okay, what did you put, mate? Did you put UKFT and 90, did you? Because you got to change the 90 to 80 and then 80 to 90 and so on and so forth. So just have another go. Just put it in, see if it does work. So UKFT and then 90. Or just try UKFT if that doesn't work. 9080 with 9080 was valid. Was valid or wasn't valid? (90/80) was valid. You put was valid, but I notice your code is not working for me. And then you put 9080 was valid. So I'm not sure what you mean there, bud. So 90 wasn't for me. Someone else can try. Just try it, Night. Try it with 80, but make sure you get 90 off. I don't quite know why. It should refer to 90 and then to 80 as it changes, I believe. What is the window from our trader that shows your P&L? What is that? It's just from Rhythmic, bud. That's all. I've been trying to change it to get it to fit there, but the letters seem small. They're hard to see sometimes, so I've managed to make the letters a bit bigger. Just tried here, and it says coupon found. It says no coupon found with the such code. God, it is frustrating, isn't it? I'll have to give them an email. Let me just message them. It is frustrating when that happens, isn't it? Submit a ticket. Works, but UKFT90 doesn't. Right. Does the UKFT still give you the 90% off? Just check that. As long as it shows at about, what is it, $16, that's fine. I had no issues using it last week. Yeah, just now and again it does go a bit funny. I don't quite know why. Gives 90 off to, I see. Okay, so yeah, what it's supposed to do, it does, yeah, still gives 90. Okay. I'll have a word with them, actually. I'll message them, but yeah, I mean, usually it refers to the 90 to the 80 and then whatever. But I don't quite know where they do it, but I will message them just to let you know. So, but if you have used it, it's appreciated. I do appreciate that. So, yeah, I wanted to put this on at the side. You can see at the side. I've been trying to get it to fit and figure out how to work it, but the words, the letters have been really small. But I managed to. I had a chat with another streamer who's got this sorted, but I want it white. It looks horrible green, so I just wanted to put it there so people can see what's going on. A lot of the other information you don't really need to see, really. So, where does your Apex? When does your Apex code expire? Oh, the 90% off. I think it's on for a week. Let me just have a check. Pretty sure it's on for a week. Expires in 3 days, 14 hours, 28 minutes, and 55 seconds. So, 3 days, where are we now? Monday. So, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think it's midnight on Thursday, but I will double check. I'm pretty sure. 3 days, 14 hours. The 14 hours would be the end of today. So that would take us to Monday. Then we got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I'd say, yeah, it's midnight Thursday, I think, bud. Midnight Thursday, yeah. Yeah, for some reason, someone said it doesn't work with a 90. It gives 90% off, but it works with the 80. I don't quite know why. So if you do use one, and it doesn't work with the 90, just put the 80 in, but just check it does give you the 90% off. You'll know the difference. One's 33, the other one's about $16, something like that. So you will notice the difference. So market is open. Let me have a look. What have I missed? Rhodian, I used 80. Yeah, I don't know why it's showing the 80 or works with the 80 when you got 90% off. Not quite sure. JP, happy Monday to you, pal. NC, good morning, Dean. Why not get one promo code? UKFT promo. To be honest with you, mate, it was hard enough to get that. They kept turning me down and saying no, and I just kept pestering them, and sooner or later they gave in. But I should have done, really, shouldn't I? UKFT promo. But apparently I was told what it does. It's UKFT, and then the 90 bit just reverts to whatever discount they've got. But there we go. So hopefully it'll work for you. Let me show you it's got, yeah. So which works on any. Yeah, I know what you mean. It would have been easier, Dean, wouldn't it? To be honest with them, I asked them just for UKFT, and they said it'll be UKFT and then whatever discount it was. So I don't know. I was quite pleased to get it, actually, so I didn't argue with them. So, okay, so a quick glance at what's going on. So we look like we got a leg up here. We got a couple of legs back and a retest of these lows, and now it looks like this other leg. I was looking here. And unfortunately, it just wasn't close enough to the EMA for me. So, one leg to, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here, but I'll keep an eye on it anyway. But no, I've got a couple of evals myself. I did take a couple, but I've just been messing around with them lately. I have, because they're just so cheap. I've just been taking stupid risks with some of them, and I'm blowing a couple, so I thought I'd just trade them like normal, but just use larger contract sizes. So hopefully I'm trading 10 contracts on those, so hopefully 3 winning trades in a row should pass it. So where is a timer on website? Where is a timer? Where is a timer on website? You mean on the... let me have a look. It's on the front page. There we go. There it is there. 90% off, and there's the countdown. So that'll take us, I believe, to Thursday at midnight. So yeah, got to be careful here, because I'm expecting a leg up, but sometimes it doesn't do it, and it is struggling there. So where's that keep going black? So a little bit of a congested area. You've got to be careful in these. I am expecting it to go up, but if it does drop out the bottom, I'm a bit unsure about doing it. Good on you, mate. 1 point at the open. Where was the open? About here, wasn't it? Yeah, about here somewhere. I looked at here. I was hoping we'd get a bit closer. Leg up, a couple of legs back. So liquidity levels, we've got a chunk of liquidity at 30, funnily enough, where this measured leg is. So with that there, how long has it been there? So I didn't have a bad week. I think I had, did I have 4 or 5 winning trades and a loss, I think, last week? I can't remember. So it wasn't a bad week last week. And I managed to get a couple of payments from a couple of my accounts. I could have withdrawn $2,000 from a couple of them, but the last time I did that, the trouble is, what I find is when you start to be able to keep PAs and you start to build them, the minute you get to $2,600, you want to take a payment. And that's what I did the first couple of times. But the trouble is, it leaves your account pretty low, which left about $500. I ended up blowing a couple. And then month before last, I took two $2,000 payments, so I had $4,000. But the same again, I took the accounts down too low, down to the left about 500. So you end up just blowing them because they're so low. So this month, I had 2 accounts over the 2,600. I decided just to take $1,000 from each of them, which left. I think one was nearly 17 and one was 18, something like that, with the rest of them. So there's about $7,000 in the 5 of them, something like that. So I thought I'd just take a bit, just to keep me ticking over and to reinvest some more money, and not take them too low. But I think it's part of it. When you start to earn money, you get a bit excited and you tend to do stupid things and just try and get the money, regardless of leaving yourself a cushion. So this time around, I've taken 2 smaller amounts. But what I'd like to do is try and get a regular amount from 2 of them and let the rest grow. And obviously the plan is to take $2,000 out of each of the 5 of them a month, which is $10,000 a month, which is a pretty nice wage actually. And then continue then when I get some money. I'm trying to make some before I put it, make some to put back in, rather than having to just constantly put in. It's a bit frustrating. So we may, the way that's going sideways, it is a possibility we could end up having a bigger channel there. A lot of the times it'll go sideways, more or less the width of a channel. So have a look at this. So yeah, close enough. So whether it'll finish here, I don't know. But can you see it's we end up going sideways just till we get to what looks like the width of the channel. And funnily enough, when I've drawn that, it's very close, isn't it? And then we've got something quite bullish. And so whether we're going to continue up, obviously there's always the possibility we could end up having something. I'm not a fan of channels like that. They're not very steep and less reliable. So let's see how we get on. I'm trying to cut my trading down as well. I seem to be getting a bit obsessed. I'm looking at the charts morning, noon and night at the moment. When I finish, I'm not finishing. I'm studying charts and looking at other charts, other people's charts for the day. So I'm trying to break apart from it and keep this as just a job, where I have a certain amount of study time a couple of times a week. But to be honest with you, there's study time, and every time you sat on this chart, you're learning and you're studying. So in all fairness, but I'm just finding it's just getting to me a little bit. It's just getting me down a bit, because I seem to be spending every living minute thinking about trading. So let's see what happens here. We've got close to that measured leg. So whether we will go higher and touch it, or whether we'll come back down, I don't quite know. Let me just... Trouble is, if you get this wrong, I'm going there because it fits nice at the back, but you've got to be careful taking trades here, because we're coming to the top of this measured leg and we could come down. So we'll see. In fact, I'm going to get rid of it just for a minute. See what happens. Okay, no news today, so that's good. We had some medium impact news a little bit earlier, but it didn't really do anything. Yeah, okay. Okay, we got some sideways. We popped out the top. We've come back in. We're dropping out the bottom. Are we going to push up and hit this measured move otherwise, or is this going to come down? It's hard to say at the moment. Leg. Just past 5 evals. Good for you, mate. I think I'll take a quick break until my heart gets back to normal. Can I ask a question, mate? How many contracts do you trade on your evals? Because I've been doing 10 lately, and it kind of works, but I probably have a 50% hit rate. 50% I'll pass, 50% I'll fail. But when they're 90% off, I kind of don't mind, actually. The two I've got now, I messed around with one earlier, but I've traded them on 10 contracts. And I take 2 points or 2 and 2.25 points sometimes. So 3 trades, 3 winning trades in a row, and they're passed with enough in the tank just to trade a micro for the remaining days. I'll tell you what, someone, if you get a quick second, try my code again. Just put UKFT. See if it still brings up the 90%. Just UKFT. It would be a lot easier if I could just put UKFT and then whatever discount go. It'd be interesting to see whether that works as well or whether it's set to the 80. I'm one of those folks that trades evals like I would trade. Good for you, mate. Good for you. There's nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, in all fairness, it's by far the best way of doing it because it does practice good discipline. Okay, so leg. We've bounced a couple of times. No coupon found. Okay, fair enough. I'll message them and just say, why is it you've got 90% off, but it's showing the 80? It is annoying. Okay, so we've had a couple of legs down. We've bounced a few times off the open. So here, use the swing indicator on the chart. I don't, bud. It helps avoid bad trades with no room. The swing indicator. Where do you get it from, Dean? Just out of curiosity. Is it within? Is it one of the indicators here? Is it? Where's? There it is. Don't know why that pops up on another. Built in. Okay, the swing indicator, is it? It's probably up here somewhere, is it? What is it under? Is it under swing indicator? Swing, is that it there, is it? Use all the flow. Yeah, I might have a look later. Swing. Interesting. Okay, so I started using it the last few weeks. Interesting. Okay, so we have a channel down here. No argument there. Okay, so it does seem like so far that we may end up in a range. Just got my 13th PA on that last spike. Good for you, mate. Good for you. The trouble is, what I've been telling to do, as soon as I get a PA up to level, I've been taking money and I think you tend to do that the first few times, and then you realise you're leaving yourself precariously low. So I just took two $1,000 from 2 of them, so I've got more money to reinvest. I'm just fed up of putting in all the time, which have just been approved. I could have taken 2,000 from each, but I wanted to just leave enough in there so I don't get into trouble. So the bit that's concerning me about looking for a short there is this. Okay, so we've had a break of this channel. Let's have a look. have to trade them. Mate, the fact that you're saying that is a good sign. It means you want to protect them, and that's a good thing. If you get a bit nervous about trading, that's a good thing. It just means, they're valuable, and they do take time. Not only do they take time, they cost money. I mean, it's one thing, paying a $16 evaluation, but it's another having to pay another $140 on top of that and wait a week to do it. Right, this is where you've got to be careful. So we've come from here. So we're making higher highs and higher lows on a bigger time frame. So if I quick have a look at this 10,000 tick chart, we're sort of skipping up, aren't we, at the moment? So it's hard to know whether we're going to continue down or whether we're going to keep going up. Continue down, work down, keep going up. So we've had this leg up there. There is a lower high there. Neither of them have got to the EMA, so it's a little bit congested. You could get trapped shorty and it may continue higher. So I'm not getting involved in a short here. I'm trading PAs on the best setups. Yeah, best way. About 5,000 profit in them. Good for you, mate. But only a pair. Oh, 5 total. Okay, that's fine. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. The fact that you're building, that's the important bit. Okay, so this is where you've got to be careful. There is a second entry short there. I think it's risky. Neither times did it touch there, and it may push up and trap you. And the only bit that's making me concerned about going short is this. The fact that that may look like the start of a channel in there. So you've got to be careful. So if you took that second entry short now, you're just about to get stopped out. It's a little bit congested there, and neither touch the top. I might be wrong. You may not get stopped out, but for me, it's a bit risky. So it depends what your thoughts are there. Okay, so if you did take that, you may have got, let's have a look. Yeah, you'd have got 1.25 points at a push. You certainly got a scalp out of it. Yeah, that's frustrating, really. And so many times in the past I've taken trades like that in congestion when it doesn't get there and it stops you straight out. And then when you sit here and do nothing, it works. That's the frustrating thing. So leg down, 2 legs up, maybe. Let's see if we hold here. Interesting. Look at that. Look how that's formed. Right there. Trouble is that can be a bit of a trap as well. I'm not comfortable doing anything at the moment because it is a little bit sideways. We could push up. There could be a little bit of a... Yeah, we could be doing like that for a bit. So, okay, so if you did take that one, it's triggered. There also, it's possible we could have a leg down, a couple of pushes up, and another leg down. So there lies the problem. So liquidity level, we've got strong liquidity down here. There's over 1,000 orders down there, which is quite large. Do you know what, mate? I went like this the other day. I don't know what I did, but I clicked something and it opened up trades. And I didn't like that. Fortunately, plus opened up trades. It put an order in. Fortunately, I managed to cancel it first. But I hit something and it opened up 2 trades and I panicked. So I thought, I'm not having that again. In all fairness, even though I've got that there, you still see me right clicking. I kind of like the fact that there's a safety measure. You have to right click and then click something. But having one button there, that's just making me a bit nervous. So I decided to take it off. Now, some people swear by it. I know Marco uses it, and I'm pretty sure I've seen Daniel use it. But I don't know, the fact that for some reason, one little touch of a button on here and it can open up trades. I know you've got the same option with the buy and sell, but they're up here in the corner out the way. But for some reason, I don't know what I did, but I clicked and something opened. So I've just decided that I think I'm a bit more comfortable leaving it. So, okay, so we did bounce there. The trouble is, I'm just a little bit uncertain of what we're doing, so I didn't really want to trade that. And it has worked nice, but it almost looks like a double bottom, doesn't it? But I wanted to wait for the higher low and confirmation we're pushing higher. So maybe a little overshoot there. Let's put that like that. Okay, so we're going up, coming down, going up, coming down. Let's see if we're ending up. If you look at this, it's sort of very similar to this. We've got a double bottom and we've got a double. It pushed up to the EMA a couple of times, came down, pushed up the EMA a couple of times, came down. So we've got very similar. We've gone up like this. So same sort of thing. We may get another leg up there. And I kind of like the way it's above this. So we'll see if we get something like that. You may call that an overshoot. I'm not convinced it is really. Because you could say it's come out this side a little bit, but let's just get an order ready just in case. If we get a second entry, great. But I will take a higher low, which then will push us further up, hopefully. Hopefully. Yeah, sort of very similar there, isn't it? We've got a sharp leg up, 2 legs back, sharp leg up, 2 legs back. The trouble is we've made a new high here. So, see what happens. Yeah, we are. But what I do like as well is we're bouncing off this level and this level, so hopefully it's going to have to be a good setup, or maybe a higher low above these levels, and we'll see what happens. Leg and a leg. Let's see what happens. In fact, I do start putting some of these. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's touching there. Some of these areas of support and resistance. I think it's a good, for me personally, it's a good habit to get into, actually, keeping these support and resistance areas in mind, because markets can bounce off them, struggle to get past them, and bounce off them. So okay, let's just
order cancelled.
So let's see if we get a hold here. Interesting. Bit of a quick push down, and then it came back down. So if it does hold here, then maybe I'll be looking for a higher low above the EMA and above the open. So let's see if it does hold here. Trouble is, I've not drawn a channel here, I've drawn this line. The trouble is, if you draw a channel, it gets you thinking you're going long. There is a possibility that we could do this and then come back further into this range. It looks like it's going to hold below. So it's hard to say, or it could be one bounce, two bounce. It could be a triple test off here. I'm not sure at the moment. So if I'm not sure, I'm quite happy staying out of it. Although it is going up a bit, it's swinging, isn't it? So it's hard to know exactly what direction. I mean, some people call that a shoulder, head, and a shoulder, which might mean we might come back down here, but I tend to not follow patterns so much. But it does look like a sort of head and the shoulder pattern, doesn't it? In which case, it would indicate we'll be coming down here somewhere. But I don't know. I'm quite happy just sitting tight and watching the world go by. If you use overnight high, top of the range, it bounce off the midline and just reject overnight highs again. Yeah. There's certainly that possibility, isn't there? It's the top of the range. I'm going to leave that there for now. Just as where the high, but I've got that in place there as a possible place where it's bouncing. It did there, and obviously you can see it's playing a part there. It's it's using it as support there and resistance underneath, so it's definitely playing a part. So whether that will become the new top of the channel, if we get down here somewhere and that, but at the moment we've been going from here to here to here, we've been climbing up, so we'll see what that looks like. We could get a leg and a leg. Anybody watch the Jake Paul and Nate Diaz fight the other night? I tell you what, if there's one person on the planet I wouldn't like to be stuck in a room with, is that Nate Diaz. I mean, there's not many people you could literally batter and they just keep coming forward taunting you. First ever $1,000. Good for you, Sam. Just trying to think my best day on one account. I think I had a $1,300 once on one account. $1,300 day. It's when I was running all my trades. I was trying to run them all. Trouble is, when you try and run your trades like that, you can make money at it, but you take a lot more losses and it messes with your head a bit more. So if you don't like taking losses, you're better off sticking to a nice small amount and taking that regular amount. Okay, so got a leg down here. So we had that leg down. We didn't have a new high, did we? So trouble is, we have been making higher highs and lower lows. So we've had a break. So whether we're going to push back in or not, or whether we're going to bounce and then come further down into this channel, it's so hard to say. Tell you what I have noticed, with a lot of institutional traders, some of these measured legs aren't reaching their targets as much. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that or whether it's just me with my active mind, but a lot of these measured legs are being missed. Okay, so let's look up here. So we've actually come below there now. We've pushed up to the EMA, so there is a possibility now we could come down into the range a bit more. It's just so hard to bloody say, isn't it? I'm just going to get rid of this for now. Excuse me a second. Excuse me a second. Okay, so we've had a leg up. Let's see if we get a lower high here. Okay, so
order submitted.
Let's go for a short here if we get a decent one. Anybody thinking about taking a short here? Obviously not with that bar. Let's forget that one.
Order cancelled.
The bit that's concerning me is this leg moving up. I'm looking for a long guy here. Yeah, something about the short that's just making me the bit that's concerning me is this. Yeah, it's hard to know what we're doing, isn't it? So there's a leg there. I can't see. Yeah, so it may trap some shorts in, push up and make it a leg and a leg. Okay, so if there's any shorts there, they just got taken out. So let's see what happens now. Maybe we trap some more shorts and then push up again. Yeah, see, like I mentioned, a lot of these second legs don't get close enough sometimes. I don't know whether it's just because there's less institutional guys. I don't know, but we could have a leg and a leg. It may test the underside of this and push down, so it's hard to say at the moment. But okay, leg and a leg. Yeah, see, part of me wanted to put an order above there. Trouble is, it's only a first entry, so there may not be as many traders in there. Okay, well that clearly pushed up. Yeah, it's a bit of a funny old day, isn't it? Whether you call this a channel, I'm not a fan of this. It's just too wide for me and it's not very steep. But we have had a break out of this, the line that we were holding, and it has pushed back in. But I don't know. I don't think you can draw a channel there at the moment. It just doesn't look quite right to me. I don't know. It's just no. It's a bit too big for me, and it just doesn't look that neat. I think it's more a bit of chop, maybe a bit of a range. Let's get rid of that now. There was support, yeah. If we got a higher low here or something like that, then I may have been interested, but I was hoping we may trap some shorts there. It's hard to know, isn't it? I mean, usually, in a lot of cases, we get a channel, we get a break, we get a new low, but it's not happening all the time. Obviously, at the moment, it's clearly ranging, which is why, you know, these channels aren't ordinarily playing out like you may normally expect. Okay, so it's clearly gone up and found that resistance there, isn't it? Probably even take that up a fraction. Let's have a look. It'd be interesting to see where this goes, if it finds this top and holds. So it looks like a leg and a leg. It hasn't made a measured move, but for some reason the measured moves don't seem to be as accurate at the moment. For some reason. Okay, I'll just be 2 minutes. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. 2 minutes. Okay. You could say that's a hidden second entry short. Trouble is, it's finding resistance here, so I'm not sure how comfortable I feel going long there. So we've had this channel, we've had a break of it, we've had a new high. But it's just a little bit... it's hard to say exactly where it's going at the moment. We've had we had this where it's been bouncing off a certain level, and then we had a drop, but then it came back in. So whether we're eventually going to turn into a channel, I don't know. I kind of like the way it's bounced off there, though. But you just got to be careful. It's just a bit unclear. Are we going to hit this again and come back down? I don't know. It's certainly not interested me in looking for a trade. I mean, the one good thing about that, it was a pretty small bar, wasn't it? Was it 1.25? So it's quite a small risk, that, really. And it did look like a hidden second entry short, but it's finding support at this. So we've actually had a break of this channel, a small break, and it has actually made a new high. So you took it for 1.5 points. Yeah, it's quite a small. It did look like a hidden second entry long. It's quite a small bar, so you probably expect to get close to here. But yeah, if you get it for a point, you've done your job there. I'm just not sure whether we're going to push up or whether we're going to keep struggling on this level. Trouble is, it seems like it's ranging. The trouble is, with the exception of there, it's and here and here, it's bouncing at different levels, so it's hard to know exactly where we're working off. Are we working off a makeshift bottom here or what? Okay, leg. Looks like another leg. Are we going to get above this? Maybe. Maybe we may get some slight upward movement. Okay, so we had this big push down, didn't we? And then it seemed to bottom here, and we've got a leg up, maybe. It's a bit unclear for me at the moment. If I'd have been convinced we were coming up here and we'd have had a high low there, it may have interested me. I'm just a bit unsure at the moment. They've been enough Max back today, is he? I think it was just taking the weekend, but I'm pretty sure he's back to work today. Okay, there may be a bigger channel there. It's hard to say at the moment. We've touched here, sort of thing. Not sure about that one. We'll see if we get further up. Not that Matt can give us much today. It's clearly just going sideways at the moment. Okay, so have you tried Footprint? I haven't yet, bud, but I keep meaning to. I meant to over the weekend, but we had some visitors around, and I ended up going out fishing for a while, and it did a lot of pissing down, so... Yeah, sorry, I was just going to draw that because there's clearly something there which is creating some resistance. I don't know much about it, but nice. Yeah, I'm going to have a look with it. You can do a... they do a trial version of it, don't they? I know Marlon, a trader buddy of mine I chat with now and again, he used it, or he's used it. Okay, so maybe this is starting to look possibly like maybe a little spike in channel. Well, maybe not a spike. Yeah, maybe. Let's have a look. It is possible we could have having something like that. Be interesting to see where it goes when it gets up here. My footprint chart, but you really need to learn how to read it. Yeah, I don't know at the moment. Helps you choose a bias when you're trading. Confirmation. Yeah, a lot. Well, from what I can gather, all institutional traders use some form of a footprint, don't they? Whatever form it may be, but they all seem to. Who's that trader that you see on the adverts now and again? The guy from the West Midlands in the UK. He's got sort of like a Birmingham accent, and he says basically that all these charts are rubbish, which I obviously don't agree with because I make money out of them. But he talks about. He says he's the only verified trader that whatever, I don't know. Another one trying to sell something, but. He uses some form of a footprint chart, I believe. But I believe most of them do. Whenever you see pictures of traders, these institutional traders, they all seem to have numbers and stuff in front of them. So probably plays a part. I mean, it's not to say you can't money this. I mean, Max seems to do pretty well, and most of us seem to do pretty well out of it. I'm making money out of it. Not a lot because I haven't been doing it that long, but it works for me. Yeah, annoying, yeah. It's not the, because there's two of them, isn't there? There's the Greg Secker, the one that, with the fake tan and the white teeth. There's Greg Secker, and there's the other guy. He annoys me a little bit less than Greg Secker. I've got to say Greg Secker just fries my brain. But yeah, you know what I mean. He trades some, I believe they all do. And I have a time bar at the bottom, volume delta. Color graded seems to give a better view, but needs some study. Yeah, I think all these tools work in some form, but like anything, you need to understand how to use them. It's not as it's not as simple as just getting them and away you go. It's like anything; it takes time to sort of understand them and work them out. But I mean, I remember asking Mac a question once, maybe about a year ago, and I was on about going for more points, and. What he basically said to me, he says, as a trader, when you start to learn, you will naturally develop your own style and your own way of doing things. And that's how it works, basically. It's like learning to drive. You learn the basics and then you sort of learn your own way of doing things. And he said it's normal and natural to do that. I was asking about, because I was saying I did 4 good trades, got 1 point from each. On my 5th trade, I got quite a large bar and ended up losing it all. So what I said, can I go for 6 ticks? But go in at a limit order 2 ticks back. And he went, you could do that. Absolutely, that would work. That would give you a little bit more. But putting a limit order in 2 ticks back, you may lose the bet, miss out on the best trades. He said, but you'll naturally, as a trader, look for answers, and you may find some that work for you, but you'll have your own sort of way of doing things. So, it's okay looking for these things. I think what you can't do is cloud your picture too much. If you get too much stuff on here, it gets completely confusing. The book map I kind of like. I don't think it works as for going for things like 2 points, but if you're planning on swinging a trade or you've got a runner, then I think it may be more useful. Okay, so we're going a little bit sideways here. There's definitely some support around here. So passive aggressive entry is a something lesson to learn. Oh, yeah. Trading is not easy, is it? But I do believe that you find your own way. You sort of slip into your own sort of mold, don't you? Quite a few people have mentioned to me about that. You'll naturally find your own way. Some people are a little bit safer than others. They might go for a little bit less. Other people, we've all got different levels of risk, what we consider to be risky. Some people are very safe. Some people have a little bit more risk. There's no right or wrong answer. What fits for one might not fit for another. So, it's okay. It's okay that some people do things certain ways. Okay, so we do seem to be following that line. We're touching it a bunch of times here as well. So, as tempting as it is to pick one of these, we're coming to the top. So, it's hard to know exactly what's going on, but there's clearly something working there, isn't there? So if it does push out and push up, then maybe we do have some form of a channel, but it's quite shallow, and I'm not a fan of these shallow channels. So maybe it's just sort of like a couple of legs and a couple of legs back, and then maybe something like this. But let's see what happens if we can hold above there. There's a new high for the day. So, but there could be one leg, two leg. And there also could be a couple of legs, sort of one leg here and another leg, which may take us up here. So there's possibilities, but nothing is clear to me yet. Yeah, I kind of like that channel. I like the way it's working in this sort of bottom tier of it. We pushed up and a couple of sort of legs down with a bit of a hidden entry there, which worked out okay actually. I left it just because of this support here, and I'm a bit unsure about are we got this leg down and we test in this area a few times and then we're going to come down. It's a bit uncertain but it is starting to have an upward bias. There's no argument there. Excuse me a second. Right, what are we doing? Okay, so that may interesting to see what happens here, whether it holds or whether it pushes out. And with what I can see here, it is slowly working up, so I think it's likely we could push higher. But we've had a leg with a couple of legs of correction, another leg, and then a couple of legs of correction, so we could. Let's see. Okay, so we've had a little bit of a break, if you call that a channel. It might not be. There might be more of a spike there. It may be. It may end up being something more of, I don't know, something like that. I don't know. I'm a bit on the fence here at the moment. So, okay, so let's see now. This may drop down a bit and trap a few. Let's see. Or we could get a second entry long. Trouble is, if you're shorted here, you're still in this trade. If you're shorted here, you're still in this trade. And in all fairness, no reason why it's not going to come down. And it could be two legs and a bullish bar. But if you go long there, it may trigger you and come back down. The trouble is, we're at these highs at the moment, so it's just hard to know. I'm not prepared to go long until we can comfortably get above this. Because you just don't know now. This could be a second entry long, but it's risky in my opinion. Because it's hard to know where we're going at the moment. We're clearly going sideways, and if we're in a range, you'd expect to bounce off these highs. So, risky. I don't know if there's anything bigger working there. It's hard to say. Trouble is, you put these too early and they can affect your thinking. If you look at this now, you're thinking we would be coming down there, wouldn't you? Okay, leg and leg. Looks like a double bottom there. Same again, you got to be so careful here. I'm not saying it looks like a leg and a leg, doesn't it? It's so tempting to go long, but there's such a lot of support around here. And I think it's risky. Could trap you. I mean, there's definitely two legs. But I'm just going to have to stay out of this. It's just too risky. It may work, it may not work. But it could trigger you and just come back down and stop you out. And I'm not prepared to take that risk. It's not clear at the moment. It's going sideways. And if we are bouncing off the top of this range, the last thing you want to do really is go long, sitting on my hands. Yeah, I agree with you. Not saying it's not going to work. It may do. It may come back and retest this. But the way that bar's forming, it could trap some longs there and then come down. But at the moment, you know, we messed around here, we bounced, and then we came down. And we've done the same. We went up, went a little bit sideways, pushed out. Same here, and bounced. And it could come down. It could go up, it could come down. But it's a bit congested, a little bit choppy, and a bit risky. And if I was in that trade now, I'd need a new change of underwear, because I'll be shocked if that doesn't come down and stop you out. And that's the trouble going long into this. We've got an upward bias, sure. But, you know, we could have an upward bias, but just in a, yeah, it's a shame there. There is a second entry long there. Well, it's a first entry, second. It's a third entry, really, but you can see there's two clear legs down. But it's just risky because we've come off these highs and we do seem to be going sideways. In all fairness, I don't even want to go short there. Because there's some support here as well, so you just don't know. It could bounce and continue higher, but for me it's unclear, and my policy is, well, it is now anyway, if it's not clear, I'm staying out of it. And if you look at that, like, it's clearly choppy. There could be a double trap. You know, it's trapped the longs, gone up and stopped you out. You think, yeah, God, we got the longs, let's go short here. It's triggered you. It may go up and stop you out. There's definitely some support there. No argument. In fact, I'll go as far as to move up a fraction, and it fits along the bottoms there. So it's bounced off that support area. So you may get in that trade thinking, yeah, here we go. we've taken out the longs, here comes the money, and what happens? It triggers you and stops you out. That's the trouble when it's going sideways and you're a little bit unclear. It's just traps galore, and there's nothing worse than sitting here for an hour and then taking a stupid trade because your patience gets the better of you. So I'm finding that the longer I do this now, the better my patience are getting. And it's not only patience as well. Sometimes it's because markets are moving quite fast. We have to make our decisions really quick. And when you're inexperienced, your decision-making process isn't as clear. And as you progress, so I'm hoping, the decision-making gets easier and clearer. You can read these charts. Yeah, so there's a double trap there. So we come off these highs. If you took that trade, I'd say you probably got a couple of points out of that, which I don't think was a terrible trade. But we had a push down and a push down, and there was a second entry long there, 2 legs and a long. And it triggered you, came back, stopped you out. And in doing that, it created 2 legs down and a nice bearish buy. You think we've taken out the longs. When we smash through the long stops, it's going to come tanking down. So you take a trade there. What happens? It tags you, turns around, pushes up and takes you out. So areas like this where they're congested inside, was the best thing you can do is just to stay out of them and just sit and watch them. See if you can learn something. And the more you watch them, the more traps you see, the more you want to stay out of them. I mean, this line, you can clearly see it's bounced off it 3 times there. You can see what it's doing there. You can clearly see what it's doing there. And close to it here, just above the overnight. So it's clearly not a good place to go short there, or long, really. Because if you're going long here, it's right in the middle of that sideways stuff. And best thing you can do is just sit and watch. Put your feet up, make a cup of tea, whatever you got to do, just to keep them patient, keep that patience. And the more you do that, the better your patience becomes, because you realise when you are patient, everything works, and it does. And you've got to wait. Instead of trying to make trades work, you've got to wait for trades to appear. You get a really lovely setup, and you know it. They're the trades you want to take. And it is hard sometimes to sit here, but you sat here all week and took 3 trades for 2 points. That's $600 per account. You got 10 accounts, that's $6,000 a week. That's serious money. I don't know anybody who wins that sort of money. You don't need to take a lot of trades to make a lot of money. That's the beauty of having multiple accounts. But things are a little bit tough at the moment. There are a lot less setups because a lot of the institutional guys are on their holidays, and obviously they're trading large amounts of money, and they add to the movement and the fluidity of the markets. We are getting more choppy times, but yeah, it's. I mean, that may trigger short, and it may go and stop you out. We've definitely got an upward bias, so I was a bet man. I'd say it's more likely we're going to be going up, and you've got to work out the way the market's going, and it helps you trade. Helps you make trades in the right direction. But at the moment, until we push above this and retest this and continue up, it's just risky. But yeah, Dr. Linney said it perfectly. Sit in your hands. Nothing you can do with this. It's by far the safest thing to do. Go and make a cup of tea. In fact, I'm going to go make myself a cup of tea. I'm just going to take a quick 5-minute break. I'm not I'm not getting involved in this. I've done it before. It's a shame. The frustrating thing about taking a losing trade is you've now got to wait for another trade and win that just to get yourself at break even. There's nothing worse than losing a trade and thinking, "Oh, great. So if I get nothing today, I'm going to sit here all day tomorrow just to make a trade, just to pay for the one I lost yesterday." So you've really got to sit there and wait for a great setup and then just grab hold of it and don't let go. So I'm just going to take a quick 5-minute break. Where's my 5-minute job? Back in 5 minutes. In fact, where's that showing? Strange. Okay, I'll tell you what. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay. Okay, so we've managed to close above here, and we've come back down. We may retest this and push higher. So things are hopefully starting to be a little bit clearer that we may be having some upward movements. Okay. Okay, it kind of fits there, but for me, it's a bit too early for that. Now, if it continues on higher up to here and then back down to here, then I'd say that's more valid. But at the moment, it's a bit too early for me. That'll get me trading in that direction. And there's no guarantees we're going to be so. Do you watch how the bars are formed, or is it only a bar close? That's important. It is important how they form, and I'll tell you why. And I've been caught out with a couple of trades recently. So if I'm thinking about going short, say this bar here, yeah. Now, if the bar opens at the bottom, it pushes up and then comes down and finishes bearish, it's been rejected. Whereas if it opens here and slowly pushes down, all it's done is move down. So I think it's always, for me, if I'm taking things like a failure, I lost one the other week because a bar just moved across and came down slowly. It's always better to push through the EMA, move up, to the buyers push it up, and then it's rejected by the sellers. The sellers then push it down. That makes that more valid to go short. So it does make a difference, yeah. It certainly makes a difference with failures, because I took a couple of failures which lost over the last, I don't know, 3 weeks. There was one a bit before that, and I remember, I think Daniel was on the stream at the time. He said it's better if the bar pushes up and then gets rejected rather than just move across from the previous close and then just work down. So, yeah, there's definitely it's definitely important. So if I'm thinking of going long here, if the bar just goes across and then pushes up, it's a lot. There's a lot less validity there than it pushing down strongly and then getting it pushed up by the buyers. So it does make a difference. So same again. It's not doing what I thought we were eventually going to maybe retest this and push up, but it might be one of those days. Anytime, mate. Anytime, pal. Are you still with the? Are you still with the gorilla guy? How's he getting on? He doesn't make any. I wish he'd make more videos, because I'd watch him a bit more. But he doesn't do anything at the moment, does he? I'm assuming he still does his live stream. Okay, there is sort of a hidden second entry along there, but to be fair, we're back into this little bit of a range here at the moment, so it may trigger you and come to the bottom. So I'm just sitting and watching again. It's hand warming time. I was only there a month, but he is a great trader. I'm following Thomas Wade. Ah, good on you, mate. Good on you. Good on you. So, I liked it because I like the fact he goes for more points, but you've got to have balls of steel, really, haven't you? And mine aren't quite steely enough yet, to be honest with you. Mine are a bit soft, in all fairness. But like I mentioned earlier about Matt mentioning to me, you know, you'll develop your own style of doing things. Penguin's developed his own style. Thomas Wade developed his own style. The gorilla guy, everyone I suppose does. The more they get experience, you'll naturally find a way. You'll notice something if you notice that pattern. that keeps occurring, sooner or later you'll start thinking about wanting to take advantage of it. Same again in this stuff here. You just can't trade this. It's just there's traps galore there. If you took that second entry long, there was 2 legs back. Trigger just stopped you out. As you hit through the stop losses are there, you might think, yeah, let's go short then. Nice big bearish bar. Trouble is, like I mentioned about the bars forming, if you look at that bar there, that's where it closed and it went straight over to the bearish bar, and the bearish bar just came down. There's no real rejection there. Whereas if it opened here, if that bar opened here, pushed up and then got rejected, apparently I've heard Max saying it takes a lot of selling to push those buyers back down. So a bar that's done that is a lot more likely to work or to continue down than just moving across here like this. But there's a couple of traps there, so you may think, yeah, I'll put my order down here, we'll trap out the longs, and then we'll come down, and then what happens? It does exactly the same to you. So when it's going congested and sideways like that, they're just traps. It is, it can be hard. I used to find it hard. I used to just try and find everything I could. Oh, we'll go for that one. Oh, there we go. There's a lower high. We'll go for that one. Trying to force trades and trying to make them look like they can work. Yeah, there might be second entry long. There's a lower high there. 1, it's too far away in my opinion. 3, the bar's now. 4, 2/3 of the way down the bottom of this range. So there's 100 reasons not to take a trade like that, and that's the problem. You look for patterns, and that's one of the problems I had not long after I started. And I remember posting my chart, and Daniel said to me, "You just seem like you're looking for patterns." And I was taking second entry longs, but in a downtrend, which obviously is, it was more about what the pattern was saying rather than what the context of the market was saying. And I suppose you learn that after a while. Yeah, the trouble is, it could be a triple test, but for me, this is just a bit dangerous and choppy. So, I just don't want to get involved in this because there's sort of 5 points from top to bottom. Maybe a bit less, and you haven't got a lot of room for manoeuvre. I had my own start. I took my second pair ever on Friday. Good for you, mate. Or I requested it. Yeah, I had a couple of 2,000. Two $1,000 ones. I could have taken 2,000 out of 2 of my accounts, but I think you initially do that. The first time you manage to get over that threshold, you want that money, don't you? You've spent however long time trying to get that money. You want it. You want it. Forget that it's going to only leave you $500 in the tank. You just want that money. Yeah, that was mine there. I had 2 approved from 2 of my PA accounts. I'd done 24 days on one and 34 days on another. That one with 34 days was a lot higher. I made a big mistake there. I was trading an evaluation at night and I saw a nice setup and I was about $60 away from my target. And what I hadn't done is change it to 1 contract. I'd left it at 5 contracts. And I ended up taking about a $500 loss there, so that was a bit frustrating. You took 2,000, good on you, mates. What have I had this year so far? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've had 10,000 this month. I had 2,000 ones the month before last, nothing last month, 2,000 this month. I could take another 1,000 out of each account later in the month. I'll see whether I can hit this target, but what I'd like to do is to get my accounts to $5,000 and then take a $2,000 payment. So you got 3,000 then, see, and then over the next month, if you could, manage to make 2,000, then take 2,000. It'd be nice to take 2,000 out of each one. So these 5 PAs I got, that was my plan. Get to them where I can take $2,000 out of each, and that would give me $10,000 a month, and then I could use $1,000 of it to start building more. But obviously with this 90% off, I I thought I'd pick up another couple and just trade them alongside these. But yeah, it's clearly just it is ranging, but it's, you know, I mean, look where we finished here, and then we bottomed sort of here, and then we bottomed here. So we're in different places, and that makes it harder to judge where to. We had there, then it finished a bit higher, then it finished a bit higher. So finished here, finished here, finished. It's just a bit all over the place, and it makes it harder to read. So leg down, leg down. Now let's see what happens. This may trap some longs and go short, or it may push up to the EMA, it's hard to say. So, okay, yeah, that's a measured leg, so let's see if it works. One leg, two leg. Trouble is, that to me, 3 times there, it's bounced off the underside of that support resistance line, and if you're in a trade here, you may get stopped out. A leg and a leg, bullish bar, but you can clearly see how much of a part that's playing. There's definitely a lot more traps lately, that's for certain. A lot more traps. You've really got to wait for a good setup, otherwise the market will just eat you up. And I've learned the hard way, like most of us. So, if this does break down here, where's it likely to go? There is. Same again. Paste. There is some more support resistance there. You can see it here, 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 right along here, there. So these are 2 areas. I just don't want to put too much on there to make me chart confused. Okay, so if you took that bar there, 1 leg, 2 legs, you got stopped out. Let's see what it does here. Yeah, that's the trouble. There's too many. I mean, that's clear 2 legs. Market does look like it's going up. We're making higher highs, lower lows. Same again. There, that one's higher than that. That one's higher than that. But it's not convincing enough for me. It's more sideways chop with a little bit of an upwardness. If upwardness is a word. But yeah, you may think, oh, nice measured leg. Nice big bullish bar. Let's ride that back to the EMA. Triggers you. Comes down, stops you out. So it is good when you notice all these traps, because it helps you stay out of them. And the only way to learn how to stay out of them is to get trapped. As frustrating as it is, it's actually really, really good lessons to learn. If I'm looking for a trade now, one of the first things I ask myself is, am I being trapped? I'd rather be on the side of the trapper rather than the trappee. Okay, same again, quite a bearish bar. There's a new high. Try go once, try go twice, failure. Trap these. That may well trigger you, and it may push up. Same again, there's support down here. I don't want to be going into the support. Not only that, it's a bloody big ass bar for a start. It's 11 ticks. Hopefully it finishes naff. Yeah, you wouldn't take that, but same again, that could trigger you. And push up. New high there. Second entry long. Bounced off here, triggered, almost came down, stopped you out. So many traps. There's clearly some support there, and there's clearly some resistance there. So we seem to be stuck in the middle of there, so there could be some traps there. That long may end up getting stopped out. You may take the failure there thinking that you're going to trap the longs, and that may come down there, but there's just so many traps. It's unclear, it's sideways, it's not particularly nice price action, and it seems cruel really, because you know, it's clearly taking advantage of inexperienced traders. That's a frustrating thing about it. So if you did think, oh, it came down and bounced there, there's a second entry long, let's take that. Triggers you. Looks like it's going to come and stop you out. I mean, there is some support there. It may hold, but I would not like to be in that trade. Okay, so if you're in that trade, then you've just survived. I thought for a minute that was a couple of ticks off taking it out, but there's clearly some support there. You can clearly see it, and it bounced off it. In fact, I'll probably put that a tick up actually. Touch there, touched a bunch of times here. You can see it, and here, and there. So it's clearly playing a part, that. And it's slow again, isn't it? Mondays, yeah. Hopefully another 4 weeks' time, or 3 weeks, 4 weeks' time, we should get more institutional guys back off their holidays. Hopefully. Some more movement. Okay, so is that going to be another trap? Okay, so if you're thinking, oh, nice bearish bar there we go. We seem to be working down. That's triggered now, so let's see what happens there. It's another area that let's have a look. Interesting. Okay, we got something from Mac. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Okay, yeah, Mac's pretty much got yeah, he's pretty much got the same as us, really, in a range off that level there. And this is where he's finishing, but yeah, he's basically got it as a range. The lows, those 3 touches at the bottom, so let's do that ourselves. So the 3 touches at the bottom, he's got that there. About there he's got it, yeah. Okay, that makes sense actually. Not that it helps us at the moment. Okay, so yeah, he's got the same as us. And it's touching there. Fine. Okay, so if you took that short, it's reversing, so would you got any point there? It did sort of look like it was working its way down, but you'd have got a 1.25 at a push. See if that breaks above there. I'll be surprised if it doesn't. Ooh, it will do, I think. There we go. So it did look like it was starting to form into a channel down. It bounced under the EMA twice, pushed down relatively strong. But same again, bounced off this support area, which is clearly making a difference. Okay, another bearish buy. Is that going to tease more into going short? Is it? Okay, that's triggered. Let's see. Well, that's quite bearish, that is, but it's just too risky going short into all that. Triple test, yeah. Yeah, it's just so risky, isn't it, at the moment? There are areas we seem to push, bit of chop, push, bit of chop, push, bit of chop, push, bit of chop. Same again, so if you went bearish then, thought, well, kind of like that was working down, nice big bearish bar. Who knows? Okay, one test, two test. This could be a triple test. Trouble is, EMA's facing down. You really want your triple test to go 1, 2, 3 in the direction. But the trouble is, with it being so sideways, we're definitely pushing down at the moment, but it's struggling to push lower. So I'm not looking for shorts or longs at the moment. Well, I'm not looking for anything at the moment. It's just clearly choppy. There is quite a bearish buy. You could have said 1, 2, 3. You could have said that was, in fact, that's actually not a terrible call, that. But the trouble is, we know there's a lot of support here, so you struggle to get a point into that. But, excuse me, ordinarily, you know, we push once, twice, 3 times. It's not actually a terrible place to go short. The only bit that's made me it's a big ass bar, and we do seem to be stopping, but it's bearish enough, I think, to get a lot more interest in it. But it is quite a big bar. Yeah, it's 3.25, so tick above, tick below. It's nearly a 4-point risk. And in all fairness, there's barely a point below the bottoms where it's clearly been bouncing. There's no guarantees it's going to push through, but if enough traders short there, then obviously, you know, the overwhelming sort of selling was outweighing the buyers, which looks like it continued to push down. So possible leg and a leg. At least we're finally behind here, or below here. We haven't been there for probably an hour. Okay, we bounced on that midline a little bit. We did there. Trouble is, it's just it's unclear, isn't it? It's clearly ranging, but the trouble is, it's not. We've been down here, but then we didn't get as low last time, and a little bit lower. So it's hard to know whether we're going to, ordinarily, if we're coming from tops to bottoms, we're looking for shorts. But at the moment here, it's all over the place, isn't it? It's not the easiest day. I mean, really, ideally, you want your trades close to the top to short, really, don't you? Okay, so there is some support there, as we know. It's broke below quite strongly. It just sliced straight through there. No worries. The support and the open, and now we pull back up. So I don't know, maybe it's going to retest this line and continue down. I don't know. Trouble is, we bounced off the midline. Midline's playing a part as well, so I don't really want to go short into it. Nothing's just floating my boat at the moment. I'm quite happy just to sit and watch because I'm not confident. I know what's going on at the moment. Oh, this is slow again. Okay, so push up above, come back. Are we going to get another leg up there? Trouble is, it is still working its way down, isn't it? Well, I will say we had that really strong bearish bar there, and it did come down. And same again, another really strong bearish bar, which engulfed the previous bar. It almost identical there, and that both came down. So the right setup. Trouble is, these big bars that do seem to push us in that direction are bloody big. That's the only trouble is, and if you're not confident, you know what you're doing. It's a big old risk. Okay, so you could call that a failure or a higher low, or whatever you want to do it. I'm just not interested at the moment because we're in this little area there. It's clearly finding some support there, some resistance there and some support there. So who knows what it could do. Okay, so we pushed up there, had a little bit of a break. Quite a nice bullish bar. No setup there, but look what happens. It triggers, comes down, stops it out. The market is brutal to people. They don't know what they're doing. It's kind of crawling away. And look at the size of that old thing. It's brutal. Big old bar, that is. Big old bar. Definitely don't want to go short below it, put it that way. I'm not saying it's not going to work, but in fact, it's quite bearish. It probably will take us down, but it's just, there's traps galore, really, isn't there? Last thing you want to do is go short with a bar like that, though, really. What is it? It's a 4.25, so tick above, tick below. It's nearly 5 points of risk. It's crazy, really, isn't it? Crazy. Okay, I'm just going to take a quick 2-minute break. Okay, let's find out where this takes us. We do seem to be coming down this side, which makes a bloody change, put it that way. Trouble is, there's just so much. You've got to be so careful there, because it can just batter you. We had that push up, a little bit of sideways, bullish bar. What happened? Ticked you. Look at that. It's just brutal. It's bordering on cruel, isn't it? I wonder if that's why you guys have this pattern day trading rule that you can't trade. Does it stop inexperienced traders losing lots of money? I'm assuming we don't get it over here. You can trade whatever you want, but you guys, I think if you're trading stocks, you have to have $25,000 in your account, don't you? Whereas with futures, I don't quite know why futures are different. It's more a margin, isn't it, with this? But okay, so we seem to be in some form of a channel there. It's more to keep losing traders from getting margin calls. Yeah. I suppose if you got $25,000 in it, technically you should know what you're doing, shouldn't you? But no, we don't have it over here. You can do whatever you want. You guys can walk around the streets with guns. Crazy, isn't it? How different rules. Lost on account today. Almost put my fist through my monitor. Yeah, I've done that once before, mate. Now at the beach watching on my phone. Good on you, mate. Yeah, I did once. I punched one of mine about, I don't know, 7 or 8 months ago and then threw it out the window. And it's stuck in the ground in the corner. I think stocks are settled differently. It's to stop the broker from having to eat. Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's have a look here. So another bearish bar there. Okay, so we've had a push up. Bearish bar. Now, is that going to trigger and push up? There's just trap after trap after trap. I mean, we are clearly coming down, but the trouble is, unless you get a really solid setup, it's just going to get eaten up. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to go down, but okay, you've got to be careful going short again. It's bounced off that midline a few times. Possible second entry short. Mind you, I suppose the beauty of it is if you put your short order below there, it takes us below that midline, but I don't know what's going on here at the moment. Hey Chris, how you doing, bud? How you doing, Ryan? What is solid setup? What is solid setup? I'm not sure what you mean there, bud. What is solid? What is a solid setup? God, it's such an odd question to answer if that's what you're asking. Do you know, I used to think trading was a lot easier than it was. Learning what a second entry is and what a failure is are relatively straightforward. By far the most difficult part is applying it to the context. You know, you can teach someone what a second entry is and what a failure is and what a lower high is, but it's absolutely useless unless you apply it to the correct context of the market. And the trouble is, there's so many areas where it's choppy and it doesn't matter. You know, you can still get stopped out. So much to trade in, it really is. It's a real art form that just takes time, you know. I'm surprised they don't give it black belts and then you up your level, because it really is. It's a real skill that takes time. I don't think you ever truly master it. It's one of those types of skills, you know, where you just keep getting better and better. But that's where the experience comes in, is adding it to the correct context of the market, noticing things. And really the only way you do learn is just to sit here day after day and keep trying. And sooner or later, when you've been trapped, you know, out of enough traps, you'll stop getting trapped. You know, when you've traded enough weak setups and they failed, you'll stop taking weak setups. And it's a case of just doing that again and again and again, and then slowly you get better. It's like anything. With practice comes sort of perfect. But I wouldn't say you'd ever get perfect at this, but you certainly get competent enough to be able to perform with, you know, along others. Because really, we're competing with experienced traders out there. Yeah, so same again. It's getting a bit choppy. Possible failure. I mean, if you took a short there, depending on how many points you got, it came up, ticked you up, ticked you out. It almost looks like it's trying to get shorts in, and also, trouble is, we've got some support there. There's a failure there if it triggers above it, but the trouble is, we're getting into all that resistance now, so it's really hard to trade this and to get it right. What I don't want to do is, how long I've been sat here now for 2 hours. The last thing I want to do is sit here now for 2 hours and take a bum trade. So what I'm going to have to do then is sit there for tomorrow just to get a trade, just to cover my loss for today. So if anything less than near on perfect, or a crappy area, or loads of support resistance, or just chop, you have to stay out of it. Otherwise, you know, you're going to spend so much of your time spending, you know, days taking, you know, trying to get your money back for poor losses. And I'm starting to realise that I had a pretty good week last week because I sat patiently and waited for good trades. I did have one day where I took something a bit poor and the market crippled me for it. And then I had to sit there through 3/4 of the following day just to get me one trade back. So it's much better to sit there. And if you can get one trade a day in this current climate, one winning trade a day on average per week, you're doing really well. You've done your job well. 5 winning trades a week, a couple of contracts, 1,000. It's brilliant, that is, it really is. But you have to just sit until you wait for a trade that's clear and concise, and giving you a proper message. This is a good setup. The context is correct. We're not going into support and resistance. We're getting out of the chop. You just have to sit and wait. Apple catches its biggest algo. Should pump it, yes. Clear trend, clear pattern, clear key entry point. Absolutely. The only way you learn that is just to get battered by the market, really, isn't there? You come in, you get trapped. You come in, you get trapped. You take bad trades. Sooner or later, it's you know, it's a fine tuning. It's fine tuning you to basically filter the crap out. And at some point, you start to get better at it. I feel like I've improved in the last few months. I'm getting trapped a lot less. I'm noticing traps now. You know, a few times I've sat here, said that looks to me like it's going to trigger and stop you out, and it did exactly that. So the more you notice these traps, the more you stay out of them, which is a good thing. Lower high, second and short on the downtrend, cut the kinch point. There's nothing I can do here, really. It's a bit choppy. There was no real good signal bar. There's that bearish bar, but it was an inside bar. Yeah, there's nothing. In fact, that's what I haven't done today. Reloaded my historic. I mean, it's definitely working its way down, but it doesn't stop it triggering you and stopping you out on its way. I mean, it's clearly sort of working down, but the trouble is we had these areas. If that's any better, is it? The trouble is now we've got a load more support around here, so it may struggle a bit there. Okay, so right, I've reloaded my historic data. Now that's better. Now would I have taken that one at the midline? Probably, possibly. That didn't show up on mine. Yeah, there's clearly a trend channel down there. I've sort of avoided it really because it's a bit messy, but I didn't have that a minute ago. I've just reloaded my historic, and there is a trade which has given you 2 points there. It's actually kind of nice. If I'd have seen that, I'd have taken that. It is a second entry short, and it is a lower high. And I love where it is. Unfortunately, where's my 2 points? Yeah, that's all that I got. Or would I? 2.2 points I go for. So yes, that was a shame. That's 5 touches. Yeah, there's definitely something there. I've mulled with it whether it's a spike or a channel, but I can clearly see it's working there. So whether it's something like it's just downwards, sideways, downwards, sideways. So it's probably something like a spike and channel, I dare say. But it's almost like down, a bit of sideways, push up, push down, up, bit of sideways. It just depends on how low we're coming. I like to think we've got to pay these bottoms a visit at some point. Another area for a prevention trap is to keep drawing channels. Yeah, I mean, I tried drawing a few channels there, and it just looked a bit messy. You can clearly see it's coming down. But I didn't have that a minute ago. I just reloaded my historic data and that popped up. Now, I didn't have that a minute ago. I usually reload my historic data. But for some reason today I've forgotten. Trend lines non-stop, yeah. I tend to draw these a lot, the small ones. They're the ones that make things a bit clearer. Now, the only bit that's concerning me now is this is the lowest we've come down. Tell a lie, and here. But now it's coming away. So that's the bit that scares me about taking a trade here. It could be a trap. It really could. I mean, as well as coming down, it's clearly keep pushing up and hitting in that area, and you've got the midline, the open, official open there as well. So I don't know. I just don't like. If I'm taking longs, shorts in a downtrend, I much prefer the ones that come back to the other side of the trend and then work their way over here, and then come down to the bottom and then work their way. When they start to come away like this is usually a good indicator that you're going to get a break, and that's where you can get trap going short, and it has a break and comes down. So that's why I've sort of neglected to draw this, because it is a trend, but it's also very choppy. I mean, you can clearly see that on the 10,000 tick chart. There's a trend of sorts, isn't there? But it's just, I don't like it when it's like this. It's not just, you can get lots of traps there, and I'd rather just avoid it when it does all that. Okay, so we've pushed down once, twice, 3 times. Maybe a triple test bouncing off support, but I don't know, I'm not a fan of it. The fact that it's come across here, I mean, it's pushed above the EMA now anyway, so then out this channel. But the fact that it's done this, as I mentioned a minute ago, it's an often of a sign that we're going to break out, and obviously we clearly have done. But yeah, it's a shame about that. I didn't see that. It wasn't showing on mine before I reloaded my data, historic data. Let me just have a look. Yeah, I go for 2.25 points, so I think I would have got it after that push down. So excuse me, just 2 minutes. Okay, so bit of a break. 1, 2, 3. You may call that triple test. Risky for me. You would expect to make a low after a channel, but the trouble is, where's the bottom of this trend channel? Range, sorry. It's quite likely going to be there with a bit of a break. So we touched here, touched here, touched here, touched here. Brutal, isn't it, at the moment? Okay, small channel break, new high. Now, are we going to come back and retest these lows? It's hard to know exactly where the bottom is, to be honest with you. I mean, it has touched there once, touched twice there. Clearly see it's bounced a few times there and there, so we may even be working in this sort of area. This is our extreme lows, and obviously the open right down the bottom there. I'm just going to feather this out a bit. It's a bit thick. Gets in the way of it. Hasn't that gone a bit thinner? A bit better. Okay, so we've had a push up, we've had a break. We did have come down. We touched that EMA and pushed up. Still risky, in my opinion. Oh, gosh, did I miss that one? Hey Tyler, how are you, mate? How you doing? You took 3 weeks off. Yeah, don't blame me, mate. It can get to you. It can get to you a bit. Brick. What's happened to Brick? Where's Brick? What's up, buddy? Lost an account today. Almost my. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm doing okay actually. I'm doing okay. Just took a couple of payments. Balances are nice and healthy. But most of all, my patience has improved no end lately. I finally think I've realised that the only thing you can do is wait for perfect and near perfect setups, or those ones, I say near perfect, the ones that just jump out at you. Still got your 4 PAs. 5 I got there, mate. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Is it showing 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 PAs. I've just took payments from a couple of them. Slightly higher ones than the others, and I've just got a couple of new evals as they're cheap at the moment. But yeah, all good. I'm finally seem to be getting somewhere with the patience a bit. I'm just leaving anything that just doesn't jump out. I mean, you know, the trays that jump out and wave in front of you. So you've had a break. Yeah, don't blame you, mate. Sometimes it does. This business can absolutely fry your brain sometimes. I'm still trying to separate work from not work, if you know what I mean, because I just tend to, you know, when I finish trading, I go downstairs, I'll have my tea, and then a lot of the times I'm back up here looking at the chart again, maybe, and then I'll look at other guys see their charts. I'll look at the Facebook groups, find out what their charts have been doing. Usually, because when Mac posts his chart, it's usually around about 1 o'clock in the morning. So I always get up at night to get the loo, and usually I'll jump on the computer and look at Mac's chart, and then I look at people like the Penguin guy, see how he's got on, and various others. So I just don't seem to have a break from it, and I'm just finding it's just I'm just getting a bit fed up at the moment. So I'm now doing this. I had a chat with my wife earlier. I'm doing this when I finish trading now. Not only that, what I used to do, is trade my PAs in the days, and after in the evenings or early afternoon for you US guys, I'd trade my evaluations. But the trouble is, I'm because they're valuations, I'm not trading them the same time as my PAs. I'm just taking stupid risks with them and blowing quite a few of them. So I've decided now just to trade my evaluations exactly the same as I trade my PAs, just larger contracts. So just trade 10 contracts. So I trade 10 contracts, 3 trades, you've passed one. I don't think I'll have a problem with that. I'd certainly 3 trades, even with a loss, 4 trades and a loss. But normally I'd go stupid if I saw the market going up. I'd just buy, and I don't know. Trouble is, that's when they're so cheap. Sometimes you can tend to just, and it's frying my brain. Even last night, I took an evaluate late last night, and I was just looking at that. I went down to a 500 tick chart, loads of volume, loads of it. You can trade it, but I was just taking stupid risks, and I blew a couple last night. So I'm thinking, I got to stop doing this. So I decided just to do the evaluations. I'm just going to do a couple at a time. Whenever we get the 90% off or something, I'll pick up a couple and trade them the same. 3 good trades, 10 contracts, and you've passed. And that'll add to my PAs. But I'm done with taking stupid risks. The good thing about that as well is I trade my usual 3 hours, and then I finish for the day and go home. Yeah, I'll have a look later and see who's done what and have a look at Mac charts, but that doesn't take bar 15 minutes. Because I'm spending every minute of the day thinking about trading, and it's just, when you sort of get a bit of a thick head in front of your eyes, above your head, and you're just thinking, oh, I got to take a break. So I'm doing my normal 3 hours. I'm trading my evals at the same time, just larger contracts, and then I'm shut down for the day, and I am done then. No more looking at my charts. Okay, so it's just tough. It's a shame I missed that one. I didn't reload my historic, and I didn't see that. It didn't look nowhere near as good as that. It certainly didn't stick out as anything of interest, but that clearly does. Lower high, second entry short. In my opinion, if you're going to take a bar to go short, I love it when it hugs the underside. The body of it hugs the underside of the EMA, and that worked out nice for about 2.5 points, I think. Excuse me a sec, I've just got a parcel coming. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, dear. Sam, yeah, you take me same, yeah. I used to trade me PAs in the day, and then in the evenings I used to come in and trade me evaluations. Trouble is, it's dangerous, especially when they're cheap. You just take stupid risks. So I'm done with that now. I have one trading period, my usual 3 hours, give or take. And then I'm done. Okay, so this does seem to be where we're bouncing. Touch there, a few times there, and we had a couple of touches there, and then it pushed off quite strongly. So I'm happy to say that this at the moment is where we're bouncing off, this area of the range. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when we get up here. Maybe catch it on the way down. Your coupon code does not work for the 90%. Yeah, what you got to do, mate, is type, for some reason, I don't know, type in UKFT and then 80. But you still get the 90% off. Just make sure you look at it. I think it shows $16. For some reason, I don't know why someone else mentioned that. So just put UKFT and then 80. And then, but you will see then it does give you the 90% off. So I'm going to message him after. I don't know why it's doing it, to be honest with you, but yeah, just anybody just type the UKFT and 80, but you will get 90% off. I don't know why it's doing it, but I will get on to Apex after. So I appreciate that, Robin. Thank you. Anybody who uses my code, it is much appreciated. That's worked excellent. Yeah, you still get the 90% off. I don't quite know why they've done it, but because when I got that code, they did say that it would automatically revert to whatever it is at the time, and it obviously hasn't. It's reverted to the 90%, but the code doesn't work, so I'm going to have to drop them an email later and find out why. So, okay, so we've got a leg up, a bit of sideways, and another leg up, as we quite often do. So we're up to this area now, so let me have a look. Okay, there's our overnights. Got that break, structure 3 points. Yeah, a lot of times I started taking trades like that because it looked to me like a bull flag. Push up, a little bit of sideways at a slight upward angle. Which was sort of, well, I don't know if it is actually, but push up, a little bit of sideways, back to the EMA and then up again. But okay, so interesting to see what happens now. So that leg's played out, that's for sure. So this seems to be the area of our range where we're bouncing off at the moment, with the exception of a small breakout there. We came down, but then within 3 bars we were comfortably back at the EMA. So let's see what happens here. Excuse me a sec, let's let my dog in. Now, what I will say is if you're looking at Bookmap, if you look at level 30 to 31, there's a good long line of liquidity that's been there for a while. So I'll be surprised if we broke above this, which is a good sign. That tells me, let's have a look. It starts at 30, 45, 30. There's 380, 317, which is a reasonable amount. So I would say this level will probably hold. So I would expect to come back from this at some point, or move back into this channel, should I say, range. Sorry. Yeah, 430. There's a chunk of liquidity. I got to say, the biggest chunk are down there at 95, down the bottom area. So whether, I don't know, we had that gap up there. I suppose if you're going to come in at 95 and trade a day, maybe you're going to buy here, put your stop down here, and then see what happens. But that level is still down there, which tells me that that's quite likely where somebody bought, or some people bought. So I'm assuming when profits are taken, that eventually will disappear. I'm assuming. I'm still getting to know this. Got that breaker structure for 3 points. Apple caught that bid. So let's see what happens now when we're at this area. We're not quite as high as I'd expect. Let's have a look. Touch here, a couple of touches there. I still expect to get a bit higher. There seems like a bit of a channel there, which looks okay to me. I'm just going to get rid of this small one because it's okay. So we've come from here, we've touched here, touched a few times on the back side. That kind of looks okay. Let's have a wee look. Yeah, apparently that if you look at Bookmap, that dark red area, the longer it goes back, the further it goes back, I believe the stronger it is. I'm still getting to know it a little bit, but and in a range, having it right at the very top makes sense. And down the bottom, 95, which is here, that's quite a bit lower than, yeah, not much. I suppose if you're going to buy here, or maybe you've seen the gap and you're going to buy, I don't know, and that's where your stop might be. Just above yesterday's lows. So I'm not sure what you mean, bud. Apple caught that bid. I'm not sure what you mean, buddy. Okay, so we're coming up to this area now. We're a tick off. Let's see what happens. Most of the market is run by Argos. Okay, Apple stock had terrible earnings, and any rebound will take the market with it. Okay, all right, that makes a bit more sense. Okay, so we're close to this top. So whether we're going to go higher, whether we're going to maybe trap a few shorts and push up, who knows? Or whether that's as high as we go. There's clearly a couple of breakouts, and in all fairness, you could bring that down to there. And in fact, I kind of like it. Touching twice, nice here. Here. Yeah, I kind of like that. Still, I want to be careful going short here because at the moment, it could trap you and push a tiny bit higher. That's your target, is it 4550? That's quite a bit higher, isn't it? Up here. haven't got a clue what we're doing at the moment. I know we're sort of ranging. When we get to this level, we do generally turn, or we have done, and we did get right down here before we had that push. So, yeah, so if you took that bearish bar there, you got triggered and stopped out. Surprise, surprise. But the more you get trapped in these trades, the more you notice them, the more fortunately, luckily, you stay out of them. You can sort of see when they happen. So we're clearly holding on this line. So whether it will hold or whether we'll push away, who knows. But if we get a second entry long, I don't think I'll be going long into it, because a lot of the times we'll have these channels and it'll bounce off there, but when it does bounce off, a lot of the times it can trigger a long setup, which often then gets triggered and then gets stopped out because we bounced off the highs and now we're moving down. So I'm always aware about taking longs if we get a pullback. You bought at 45.19, did you? Here somewhere. Okay, so we had this little couple of pullbacks. Okay, yeah. Okay, so you plan on going higher, are you? Okay, so where's your stop? Around about under it at the moment, or is it still back there? Obviously, it is finding some resistance here, which you'd expect, and there is a lot of liquidity up there. So whether it will get through that. Someone did tell me on Bookmap, when you have this liquidity, the further it goes back, the stronger it is. Now, whether there's any truth in that, I don't know, but it would mean then this price would hold. And same down here at 95. It's even stronger. There's 1,047 orders, which is 3 times the liquidity there, and that's down here at 95, which is a little bit above yesterday's lows. So yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be going long here. If you went long there, then you may be holding on to it, but okay, this looks like our break. So, Bob, I'm assuming you're hoping we're going to have a couple of touches or a drop down and maybe a higher low to push back up. I don't know how comfortable I am going long into all that support up there. And that's if we get down here anyway, which looks like we may not. We'll see. Yeah, folks, if you do use my code, for some reason, you have to put in UKFT and 80. It does give you 90% off, but for some reason, it's not reverting to the 90. So I'm going to drop my email after. But if you do use it, put in UKFT 80 and it will give you 90. Just check that you are only paying $16, which is what it is. And if you use it or you have used it, thank you. It is appreciated. It enables me to keep in my fine taste of single malt whiskies. and too much at the moment, I must say. I opened a bottle of Lafroig Select a week and a half ago, and it finished the last bit off last night. So what I will say is the stresses of trading when you have a couple of doubles, the stresses then half disappear quite quick, which is good but bad at the same time. Okay, little break of that. The trouble is, I've done this before. I've seen a channel, and bearing in mind, that's a nice fitting channel to me. It fits nice. Push up, little bit of sideways. Push up, little bit of sideways. Now, normally, when we get a break of a channel, if you get to a second entry off the key entry point, you would look to go long. And I've done that before. I've gone long before, and it's triggered me and started working back down. So I have to be aware that we are in a range day. There is a slight upward bias, but not enough for me to treat this anything bar a range. And we hit a couple of 3 times there. You can clearly see it's made a difference there, clearly see there, and clearly we're finding support there. So this is an area that has hit the highs or the tops of a range, and normally when we get to the tops, we'll work our way, whether we come down the bottom, but certainly in. So you just got to be extra cautious taking setups. I'm not saying they're not going to work or you shouldn't take them. Obviously, you've got to do what you got to do. If you put UK, it actually charges Lance the purchase. There we go. I'm happy with that. Okay. I'll be surprised if someone else doesn't give that a go. Interesting. So let's see what happens here. But yeah, second entry long off here. This close to the highs. I won't be thinking about going long. I'm not saying it's not going to work, or I hope it works for Bob's sake, because Bob's got his target up here somewhere. And if he's bought there and he ends up there, good for you, Bob. So I kind of hope it works. But for me, it's struggling to get above this area. And that would make sense because, obviously, we do seem to be ranging, certainly for the last 2.5 hours since the market opened. We have seem to be working in this area, and we haven't. This is as high as we've been. And so far, since these little pushes, we haven't broken above it. And the trouble is, so many times I've been looking to go long to make a new high, and I've been trapped. So you have to be aware that there is a good chance. Second entry long, triple test, small. Yeah, it's just a bit congested, isn't it? It may come back to the main trigger. All I say for me, I just apply caution, because obviously we're drummed into it. When you have a break of a channel, usually it makes a new extreme, and in a lot of cases, and majority of cases, it does, but it doesn't always do it in a range day when we've already come away from the top. I'm not saying it's not gonna, because that does kind of look like a nice second entry long. But I've taken these trades before. They trigger up and trap you, and then come down. And I ask the question, why didn't it work? And they'll say because we've just come off the highs of the range. So it just means a little bit of extra caution there, although it is a nice trade. You're taking this, are you? There's support here from early. Yeah, it's just a little bit risky. I mean, it is a second entry long, no argument, but it's clearly struggled to get above here. So for me, it just may trigger and then shit on you. And I don't fancy that. This is the second entry long on my chart, different bars. Yeah, I have reloaded my historic, bud. I expect to range to double. I expect range to double. Oh, you mean come up another level out here, do you? That'd be nice if we do, mate, because it'd be nice to get up above this, because if we can get above this and get into a channel, then obviously I can look for longs, but until it pushes above there, I just can't get any. It'd be interesting to see what happens there, because there is a second entry long. We've obviously had a couple of pushes back. Signal bar, yeah. I've seen Mac take a lot worse, in all fairness, so I don't think the signal bar is so much the problem. I think it's just the fact that where it is. But it'd be interesting to see. Excuse me, I mean, by the time it triggers above that, you've got about a point before these tops. So it just makes things a little bit of extra caution. Yeah, you got 1 point to those tops. and I hope that it does continue out, because I want to get out of this little channel, this range, because it's a pain in the ass. It's too choppy. And the good thing about if we do break out, we may get into something like that. And if we can work up to these areas that Bob's got his take profit, I hope he gets it. Then if we can get above this and then maybe retest the tops and start to push higher, then that's where I'll look for a long. But at the moment, I just can't go long. Because we're more or less at this area where we've clearly found resistance before. Be interested to see what happens if that does trigger, but it's a little bit on the risky side for me, so would trigger a second entry long. 26, 25, 26, 25, yeah. Once it gets above there, the trouble is, in a lot of cases, if it's coming down, it's almost the job of the algorithms to go for weak spots, and it may trigger that and then come down, or it may go up. But for me, I'm exercising caution, because it is a bit sideways. I mean, you could even, in a way, trade that as a failed breakout of that bit of range there. Broke out the bottom and pushed up, but it's just a little extra risky at the moment. And my level of patience is in a good place at the moment, and I wait for setups, the ones that jump out at me, and this isn't jumping out at me, it's shouting caution. So for me, it's a sitting, a waiting game, unfortunately. Now, if you did take that trade, it didn't trigger you, depending on where. Some people might just buy it as soon as it finishes, but obviously our strategy, we wait for it to trigger, and it didn't. So, which is a good way, because it didn't stop you out there. But if it would have triggered, perhaps it wouldn't have come down. But it's just a little bit of caution. What time are you logging off today? Usually about 5:30, 3 o'clock, bud. UK time, so about 15 more minutes. I usually do 3 hours, and 3 hours is enough, actually. Conditions aren't great lately. Not as much money flowing through the markets at the moment, and it is a bit choppy, so I'm quite happy. If in all honesty, on my P accounts, if I can get 3 2-point trades in a week, that's $2,500 a month. That gives me $2,000 to withdraw, and that $500 will grow and eventually make me. That would be the ideal plan. So even with 3 trades a week, and 3 trades isn't a lot, 3 trades a week, that would be my ideal. Now, obviously, when institutional guys come back and things change and there is more setups, then I may go for 2, but I'm more than happy with 1 at the moment. At about 12 Eastern Standard Time, really no high confidence setup without catalyst, yeah. And it's clearly finding some support there. I mean, as I mentioned, you could, or some might look upon that. If you look at that, there's clearly a little bit of sideways there. You could say 1 leg down, 2 legs down. Bullish bar might bring us in. I kind of hope we do go up, because as we know, our friend Bob has got his take profit up at this level. So not only would I like to get it up there for him, but I'd like to see it starting to work higher in a channel. So, okay, so that's looking kind of positive. You could say second entry long there. Fade to breakout, but I'm just staying out at the moment, just in case it triggers you and comes down. And then the answer to the question is, why did I get stopped out? And the answer is because you went long into all that resistance in the top of the range. I consider a fail second entry long from here. Yeah. But what I've got to be careful of as well is we don't have a leg and then we pull up a bit and add another leg. I certainly think for me, I'll be more looking for shorts than longs at the moment. But we have just broken out of this, so it could push back up. It could push back in. There is a failure there, but it's always better on a failure to trap the opposite sex, I suppose, as for want of a better word. So if you're going to go long there, second entry long, trigger above it, trap you in, push down, stop below. The trouble is, it's not that bullish, that, so I don't know whether many people would take that trade. So, but I have sometimes, regardless of what the day's telling me, I get that focused on thinking we've had a breaker there, we must go long, and I'm looking for any naffy old trade, and I usually get trapped out. So now I've just learnt the hard way. You just can't do it. We've come off these highs. It's not saying it's going to push out. It may well, but you have to apply caution because we have come off these highs. And these highs, funnily enough, are more or less where the daily range is working off, with the exception of a couple of little breaks. So yeah, so there is that possibility of a failure there. But the trouble is, the failure is taking us into that, depending on how low it gets down, taking us into that bit of support there, which we know has played a bit of a part. So it's quite hard to trade today, in all fairness. Hey Chris, do you ever come back and trade the power hour? I'm not usually around by then. I have done. What I tended to do was trade evaluations later, separately from the PAs. The trouble is, with them being so cheap, I tend to trade them stupidly and aggressively, and I tend to get bitten quite a bit. It's not unusual for me to take 2, win this, and blow them in the same evening, because I just get a bit stupid. So what I've decided to do now is to trade aggressively, as in more contract sizes. So I'm trading the max 10 contracts, 3 winning trades in a row, which I don't have a problem with doing most of the time. That would pass it, as opposed to taking stupid risks and maybe failing, maybe winning 1 in 3 or 4 or 5. And not just that, then it gives me that clear time where I have a break away from the market. I do my trading day and I wrap up all my trades, PAs and evaluations in one go, and then when I walk away, I'm done for the day. So there is that failure, which is triggered. But I don't know whether you may have traded that long back into the range, but we have got this support, so there may be a double trap. It may trigger that one out and then push up and stop out that. Yeah, what I found, Chris, is I spend too much time at these charts. Like early hours of the morning, I got up, couldn't sleep, so I sat in front of the charts and I traded on the 500 tick with an evaluation. I ended up blowing it. So trouble is, when they're so cheap, well, they $16. It's about £12 UK. It's the price of 3 pints of beer, that, if you're lucky. So I trade them stupid. If I see the market going up, I'll just buy, and I'm messing around, and so I think I need to start growing up now and acting like a proper trader. I don't get me wrong now, where I trade my PAs now, I'm in a good place. I'm nice and patient. Cheap as chips, absolutely. I'm nice and patient now, and I'm happy how I'm trading my PAs, but I still have that silly little bit of me that wants that silly little excitement and stupid little bit of risk to try and get lucky. And I think this is the last part of what's the word I'm looking for? The last part of the plot that I finally need to back away from and say, okay, I can hold a PA now. I'm taking some payments. I'm starting to make some money. My patience is good. So how I'm trading my PA accounts is working nicely. Now I just need to let go of that silly little kid stuff that I still do out of hours. And that will serve 2 goals. It'll finish my trading day when it needs to finish, because you have to have that difference between work time. You don't go to work and work 8 hours for someone else in a day, come home and have your tea and go back to work, do you? Not a chance. So I need to just, split that area. There's my working time, 3 hours, and yeah, maybe 15 minutes of an evening I can look on a computer and find out what Penguin's done and what Mac's done. That's perfectly fine. But I need to start my trading and finish my trading with the same practice that I do with the PAs, and just do the PAs apex, that the evaluation's the same. But sometimes it's letting go of that little bit of silliness, that we all still get that little bit of excitement, don't we? And I need to think, right, okay, this is a business now, and it's a business that is starting to work, it's starting to grow, and now I need to just tidy, neaten things up a little bit. Good trade, that one there. Yeah, the bit that's concerning me is this bit of support, which is playing its, you know what I mean? It's just very choppy at the moment, isn't it? And the trouble is with that one, what it could do is trigger and then push back in here, so it's a bit of a bummer, isn't it? So that's a teaser as well. I won't be surprised if that triggers and then it shoots down and stuffs that lot. Stuffs the longs there, but it's still... Who else was it said? I said it was a tough day. Yeah, Dr. Linney. It's a hard day to trade today. It's not clear. There's a lot of, as Matt calls it, whipsawing up and down, and you can get stung if you don't know what you're doing. And a lot of this is you got to stay out of it, haven't you? That's the only one I'm sorry I missed. Second entry long, lower high, and we're clearly working down. And it's enough. It's further away, high enough above these lows to get a couple of points. You'd have been out around about here, but anything else, there is a failure there. But the trouble is with me, it's just a little bit congested. And I'd rather take 3 really good quality trades in a week and make them all winners than take 5 trades and add a couple of slightly more risky ones. You know, my goal is to withdraw $2,000 out and have a little bit on top to build the account. And by even taking just 3 2-point trades in a week, but good quality ones, that will allow me to do that. So I wouldn't be surprised if it stopped that out. What would you have got off that? So you may have squeezed 2 points out of it. Let's have a look. It's on 2 points, so probably not. Depends how you got in, but you'd have certainly got a 0.6. The bit that's making me nervous about, you can clearly see this line. You can see how it reacted to it. It touched it there, it dropped below it and pushed up, but it's clearly holding prices there, and it did push up above that. So that's the reason I was hesitant about going short into that. And in all fairness, there wasn't a lot between the trade and yeah, well, I've gone right from the bottom of it, so you'd have struggled to get a point out before you hit that, but fortunately it did push lower. I just have a feeling we're pushing higher. I think Bob's right. I have a feeling we're pushing higher. Let's see what happens here. Only thing I saw was that small break I took. Yeah, it is so choppy, isn't it? The trouble is when it's like this, it just creates multiple traps and it's so easy to get stuffed. And one thing I really begrudge now is sitting here for 3 hours and coming to the end of my trading period, taking a stupid trade. So I kind of like my balance. I've got a nice balance at the moment, and it's working out nice. I think I took 5 trades last week with a loss, I think, which is working on about 80%. And I tend to go for 2.25 points, so I tend to go for around about the 1-to-1. So as long as I can keep above that 80%, that's okay, I think. Can you do a video about how the tax works in the UK? To be honest with you, mate, I'm the wrong person to ask about that, and I'll tell you why. I am around about $8,000 away from breaking even from all the money I've put into trading. So I'm reckoning in another over the next 2 to 3 months I should hit break even. And an experienced trader told me once, when you're learning to trade as a retail trader off your own back, you can say you've made it as a trader when you've broke even. In other words, all the money that you stuffed into it, when you eventually get it back, you've turned a corner. And that is the time to start to say, okay, now I've actually made it as a trader, because the 10, 15, 20,000 pound or dollars I've put in, and I've now got it all back. is a time to sort of start to sort of give yourself a pat on the back and say, okay, now things can start to happen. So I haven't earned enough money for me to start thinking about tax, but I'm pretty sure in the UK, there's two things I'm relatively sure of. If you work a full-time job and you've got a full-time job which pays you for, say, 40 hours a week, whatever you make money part-time as a trader, it's classed as gambling or spread betting, whatever you want to call it, and you don't pay tax on it. Now, if you give up that full-time job and a trader becomes your full-time job, you will get taxed exactly the same as a small business, a one-man band on whatever money you earn. Now, any losses, any fees that automatically come off anyway, obviously are all to do with overhead. So, you know, if you've got to buy a new computer or a new graphics card or some paperwork or whatever, that will be, you'll just be like a one-man band. You'll be like a carpenter or a plumber or something. Anything you have to pay for to do with trading is an overhead, and whatever you got left, you'll pay tax just as a normal sole trader. I'm 95% sure that is the case. So when I get to the stage, I'll know in my own mind roughly that I'm hitting the point break even, because obviously I pay no tax. If it's cost me $15,000 to learn to trade, and I've made $15,000, and I won't pay any tax on that. So that'll be the point where I'll sit down and work out exactly where I am, and then I'll draw a line. Okay, that's how much I've earned, that's how much I've paid. The two coincide. And then I will start taking more sort of business-like steps to say, okay, this is what I've earned this month. This is what I've paid out this month. This is where my profit is. And it's just be like a normal business. But we have got certain benefits over here. For instance, with cryptocurrency, if you buy cryptocurrency, you can make $12,800 per year, per year, without paying any tax every year. And that is you and your spouse, obviously individuals. So in US, you get taxed no matter how much you gain. But when you lose, you can only claim $3,000. Really? No, if it costs me £10,000 to learn to trade and I make £10,000, it's an overhead. It doesn't make a difference over here. Whatever you have to pay out, as long as it's a normal expense. And learning to trade, a normal expense is having to pay for evaluations and a PA accounts. And yeah, sometimes you lose. That's all part and parcel of it. But we only pay tax on what we earn once any type of overheads. So you know, a loss is just a business expense. I thought it was the same in the US. You get taxed no matter how much you gain, but when you lost, you can only claim for a whole year. So I don't quite understand that, because a lot of business, when you enter into a business and you put X amount of money in, some businesses take a year or two to actually start to make money. So surely you won't be paying tax if you've only made losses for a year. I might be wrong. Obviously, you guys in the US will know better than me, but I thought it was the same, because I remember Nick, who comes in here for a while, he said to me, look upon as a loss as a business expense. So I don't think that's the same for futures. I think that's stocks. Okay, yeah. As far as I know, the US is the same. Because you can't learn to trade without losing money. Business in the US is the same, yeah. I'm pretty sure everything you've put into trading, whether it's an evaluation, a failed evaluation, a failed PA, a computer, whatever it is, I'm pretty sure it comes off as expenses, and then you're taxed according to whatever you've earned above and beyond your expenses for the year, the month, or whatever. But yeah, I know roughly what it's cost me. I know roughly. I think I've paid everything probably about $17,000, $18,000 maybe. And that includes $2,000 worth of computer equipment, £1,000, $1,200 for the Ninja Trader license, various different courses I've paid out, extra bits and pieces, obviously certain losses. So I would say I'm looking at the next 2 to 3 months, 3 months, let's say, before I hit break even. And that was my plan. to hit break even and to start earning some better money before Christmas. And when I say better money, if I can get $2,000 a month from 5 PA accounts, that's good money to me, and that gives me something to grow on. Okay, so it's still holding this line, isn't it? And at some point it's going to give up the ghost and come back, but you can clearly see it's bouncing off that area of support, which we can clearly see right the way back here. So it's clearly a place where you've got to be careful going short into. I'd much prefer to push down this and maybe retest this if I think we're going lower. I think it's going to be one of those days, folks. I do. We've had a leg down. So I might knock it on the head actually and class it as a good day of business. I haven't taken any stupid trades. There's clearly not a lot apart from that one I missed. But unfortunately, my historic data, I never reloaded it, and it didn't give me that same offering. So it's a choppy ass day today. I think there was definitely a trade there. I think someone mentioned a trade there. It certainly worked. For me, it was a little bit risky, but it's not to say... that's the trouble. We all see things slightly different. So, but that's the bit that kept me out of there, and obviously it would have worked, but you can obviously clearly see it's holding something there. So if I sit there and do my job is to sit and wait for a trade and nothing more. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. The money is just a byproduct, a nice byproduct, but my job really is to sit here patiently and wait for a setup. And with the exception of that, there's nothing else really that's jumped out at me and said, there is a second entry long there, which worked. But same again, we're coming off these highs. So at the moment, I've just got to be careful going long into these highs. But it did work. But apart from that, nothing is really taken my fancy. So I've been going in 3 hours and 10 minutes. So I'm going to knock it on the head now. And that is me done for the day. So I appreciate all your comments. Another tough day. We're getting lots of them lately. Hopefully when the guys with the deeper pockets get back to work, we should get a little bit more... well, hopefully some more setups. But that is it for the day. So, yeah, for some reason, if you do use my code, just type in UKFT and 80 for some reason. The 90 is not working, although it does give you 90% off. So just make sure if you use it, it is showing about $16. And I'm going to drop a quick email to them and just let them know that something's not working clearly. But so I appreciate all your comments. Got a nice little bunch of people here, and hopefully you're learning from me and I'm learning from you. The more times you mix with other traders, I think it's a positive thing. So thank you, Dr. Linney, and you, Edward, and thank you all for your comments and your feedback. As we know, we get days like this more lately. There is a sort of something that looks tempting there, but we've still got this bit, which makes me a bit nervous. So that's it for today. So I'll be back here same time tomorrow. So have a great evening. Stay safe, and we will hopefully do it all again, and hopefully we may get a trade tomorrow. So have a great evening. Stay safe, and we'll talk tomorrow.